It's time for the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. It's time for The Game on ESPN 1400. For the next 2 hours, we'll get an in-depth look at local sports in the Eastern Upper Peninsula and Algoma region, and hear from the coaches and players involved in the game. We'll also analyze the college and pro sports scene across the region and dive into the biggest national stories. Now, let's get to the game and join your host, Scott Nason.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to The Game on ESPN 1400 and online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason here in the ESPN 1400 studios in beautiful Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan on this Monday night, September 23rd, 2019. The Game, the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show, flying solo for the first half of this hour. Our co-host Dave McKay couldn't make it on. He'll be on again next week. Joining us at 6:30, big announcement over at the Memorial Gardens today involving Laker hockey and that venue. And we're going to talk to LSSU Director of Athletics, Dr. David Paitson, along with LSSU head hockey coach Damon Whitten, all about that announcement. We'll also get some Laker athletics talk mixed in for the full half hour. Then at 7 o'clock, Butch Davis from Butch On Sports will join us as he covers the Metro Detroit sports scene. Lots to talk about with the Lions, the Wings, Michigan, Michigan State, and more. We're expected to be joined by EJ Russell from Escanaba, Michigan during our roundtable in the second hour, as Butch, myself, and EJ will talk about the world of national sports. Our broadcast engineer tonight, Alyssa Bradley, here in the 1400 studios. And let's get right to it. We have tons of sports to cover. The local sports season is definitely in full gear. Let's start with high school football. New game you heard on our sister station, 1230 WSOO with Dave Watson and Pat Bennon. It was a defensive battle in the first half and the second half. After a scoreless tie in regulation, the Soo High Blue Devils, they took another step towards the playoffs and beat Petoskey for the first time since 2007, as a 2-point conversion from sophomore quarterback Jacob Davey lifted the Blue Devils to an 8-7 win over the Northmen. Chris Pierce, boy, he had some nice stats. Could have used him on my fantasy team yesterday. 31 carries, 153 yards, and the only touchdown for the Blue Devils in the game. Petoskey would score first in the overtime, kick the extra point, and then the Blue Devils would get that 3-yard touchdown run from Pierce. Decided to go for 2. They don't really have a kicker to my knowledge. At least they didn't put the kicker in at that point. And Jacob Davey, boy, he's having a heck of a season for the Blue Devils. And the Blue Devils right now 3-1 on the season. And they will be at home again on Saturday to take on Algoma Heights. I'll be filling in for Dave on that one, along with Pat Bennon on our sister station, 1230 WSOL. We'll have the pregame show around 3:15. There's a junior varsity game before the varsity, so we don't know exactly what time we'll be on, but we'll be on, and it should be a dandy. Algoma Heights also 3-1, so playoff implications on the line in that one. Looking forward to that. The only other EUP team in 11-player football, St. Ignace, well, they took a trip down to Johannesburg, Lewiston, and they got thumped by the Cardinals by the score of 40-0. The Saints now 2-2 on the season. They're going to travel to Harbor Springs on Friday. In a game you heard on our sister station, Oldies 93, with the voice of the EUP Game of the Week, Matt Pocket, and yours truly doing color. It was a very exciting game, to say the least, as the Brimley Bays 4-0 on the season. For the first time since 1994, and only the second time ever they've been 4-0. And they beat Rudyard for the first time since 1958. Ike was president. I think they were building the interstate highway system then. Granted, they haven't played Rudyard a lot because they were in different divisions, but still, since 1958, that's a long time. As the Bays, they defeat the Bulldogs by the score of 38-14. Mason Harris, my goodness, did he have a night, as he had a start to the season. 4 touchdowns, including an electrifying 98-yard run on Brimley's first possession. Also had a 60-yard rushing touchdown, a 52-yard passing touchdown, and a 35-yard rushing touchdown. I think at one point he had 4 touches for 3 touchdowns, 16 on the year overall. Harris also had 237 yards rushing on just 10 carries. And Dan Parrish, he had a pretty good day as well. For the Brimley Bays, quarterback was 3 of 4, 113 yards and a touchdown. EJ Suggett for Rudyard, well, he had a pretty good day himself. 112 yards on the ground, 144 yards in the air. And so the Bays, 4-0 on the season. They will take on the Cedarville Trojans on Friday night in our EUP Game of the Week with Matt Pocket as they look to top the Trojans for the first time since 2004. Rudyard now 2-2. They're going to travel to Pickford. Other games on Friday night in 8-player football, a couple others involving EUP teams. How about this score? Rapid River 66, Cedarville 58 in double overtime. No defense in that one as Cedarville falls to 2-2. And as I mentioned, they're going to be at Brimley on Friday night. Newberry took their first loss of the season. They're now 3-1 as they fell big at Crystal Falls Forest Park by the score of 58-14. And they're going to host the defending state champion Rapid River Rockets on Friday night. Well, we talked last week about the Pickford Panthers losing their first regular season game in around 3 years. Well, they weren't too happy about it, and they took it out on Superior Central in Eben Junction as they scored 10 rushing touchdowns and put up 80 points in an 80-26 win over the Superior Central Cougars. So Pickford now 3-1 on the season, riding the ship to say the least, and they will take on Rudyard on Friday. And Engadine, they are 3-1 on the season as they go out to Kearney Nadu and they crush that squad by the score of 78-40. Boy, lots of high-scoring games this weekend. And so right now we're almost to the halfway point of the season. I believe the playoff points and rankings come out next week. And a lot of EUP teams definitely in the mix. Nobody eliminated at this point. Nobody in, obviously, with the season being so early or almost halfway through. Brimley Bays right now, they're the team that has the best chance to make the playoffs based on their record 4-0. They just need 2 more wins to officially make the cut. However, there are some schools that have 5 wins, especially an 8-player, that make it to the playoffs. Now, Brimley and Rudyard, along with Newberry, they will be in Division 1 in 8-player football. I think it was last year or 2 years ago, they made the change to put 2 divisions in 8-player football. Pickford was in the Division 1 final last year against Morris. They're going to be dropping into Division 2 and very likely could take on Powers North Central, the team that beat them. They won big this weekend, but a lot to sort out before now and then. But there's lots of 3-1 teams in the area. As I mentioned, Pickford, Engadine, Newberry, Sioux High, and St. Ignace, Cedarville, and Rudyard 2-2. So, hey, just have to see what happens. But it is an exciting high school football season. And we're going to be halfway through it next week, or this week, I should say. Over in Sioux, Ontario, Cora improved to 2-0 on the season as they knock off Superior Heights on Friday by the score of 34-13. Bowen Oliver, he had a pair of touchdowns for Cora, while Mitchell Della Vadova had 116 yards rushing and a touchdown for Superior Heights, who fall to 0-2. Lots of high school volleyball last week, starting on Tuesday night. Sioux High remained undefeated in Straits Area Conference play as they defeat St. Ignace by a 3-0 count. Jordan Haller had 5 kills and 10 digs for the Blue Devils, while Melina Robertson, she had 25 assists, and Julia Beaumont had 12 kills and 6 digs for the Blue Devils. Also on Tuesday, Brimley, they topped Detour 3-0. Tamissa Archambault, she had 7 kills and 7 digs for the Bays. Lindsay Hill had 18 assists. Sarah Burton had 6 digs and 4 kills for Detour. And Rudyard improved to 10-0 on Tuesday. And they are the number 7th ranked team in Division 4 in all the state. They're only Northern Michigan team in that top 10 as they defeat Cedarville by the score of 3-0. Thursday night volleyball, Pickford, they stayed unbeaten in girls volleyball as they topped Cedarville 3-0 at the Purple Palace in Pickford. Darcy Bennon, she had 10 kills and 4 blocks for the Panthers, while Lizzie Story had 14 assists to go along with 8 digs, 3 kills, and 3 aces for Pickford. Cassidy Barr, she had 11 digs for the Trojans along with 7 kills. Brimley, they topped Newberry on Thursday by a 3-0 count. Victoria Akins had 10 digs and 3 kills for Brimley, while Alana Vandermeer had 6 kills and 2 digs for Brimley. And one other score on Thursday, it was Engadine topping Detour by a 3-0 count. Moving to the world of hockey. Boy, we got a lot of hockey, which was played last week and upcoming. Let's recap the NOJHL before we go to break and talk more about the Ontario Hockey League and other hockey teams going on, or playing, I should say. Starting on Wednesday of last week, the Sioux Thunderbirds, they faced Rayside Balfour at the John Rhodes Community Center, and an Oliver Smith power play marker with about 7.5 minutes in regulation. That proved to be the game winner, as the Rayside Balfour Canadians handed the Thunderbirds their third loss in a row at that point by the score of 3-1. Avery Rebick, he scored the only goal for the T-Birds. The Soo Eagles were searching for their first win on Friday, and they got it on the road against the first place Blind River Beavers, as Malik Ali, he scored his first goal of the season in overtime, as the Eagles handed the Blind River Beavers their first loss of the season in a 4-3 win. Raf Preisner, Caleb Wood, and Ryan Dax all scored goals for the Eagles, and Shane Brancato, boy, he had a busy weekend. 46 saves in earning the win. We're going to talk more about him in a moment. In a game you heard right here on ESPN 1400 with yours truly and Larry Pozzabon, the Eagles had their home opener against the Sioux Thunderbirds at Venerable Polar Stadium, and a Matthew Bazarin's goal, 16:55 into the second period. That proved to be the game winner, as the Thunderbirds would pull out a hard-fought 3-2 victory over the Soo Eagles in front of almost 700 fans at Polar Stadium. Contest was scoreless until the latter stages of the first frame, when the Thunderbirds connected twice on markers 67 seconds apart from Cooper Schmiel and Will Josephson to give the Thunderbirds a 2-0 lead after one period of play. Eagles would get back in the game in the second period. Midway through the period, Dominic Scarella notched his first goal of the season from Hayden Clark and Shane Brancato, who made a beautiful save right before that. But then Bazarin would score a goal to make it 3-1. Caleb Wood would get the Eagles back in it at 3-2. They went into the third period trailing by 1, and boy, it was a wild finish. The Eagles pulled their goaltender with about a minute left and had two really good scoring chances, but they just couldn't get the puck past Ahern when it counted the most. Colin Ahern was the Thunderbirds goaltender. He would earn the win with 33 saves, while Brancato, he made 30 stops in the defeat. The two teams would meet again last night at the John Rhodes Community Center, and Tommy Buies had the only shootout goal as the Eagles rallied for a 3-2 comeback victory over the Sioux Thunderbirds. Nick Smith and Jacob Kovacs would score to make it 2-0 T-Birds. That goal by Smith, his 75th career NOJHL tally. Caleb Wood would get a goal for the Eagles to make it 2-1. And then with about a minute and a half, 2 minutes to play in that third period, Raf Preisner would tie the game up. They had a 5-on-5 overtime. Nobody scored. And then, as I mentioned, in the shootout, Tommy Buies gives the Eagles the victory. Shane Brancato, he stopped all the shots in the shootout, also made 34 stops in net for the win, and Ahern made 31 saves in the loss. Now we'll have Soo Eagles hockey right here on ESPN 1400 again Wednesday night, 6:45 pregame show with myself and Larry Pozzabon, as the Eagles will take on Rayside Balfour. That's their only game this week, while the Thunderbirds, they're going to make the trek north up to Hearst on Friday night, and a rematch of the NOJHL final on Saturday. Or I should say that one was on Friday night. They're also going to play Cochrane on Saturday and Timmins Sunday afternoon. Two games last night or yesterday in the NOJHL. Blind River defeated Espanola by the score of 6-5, and it was the Kirkland Lake Gold Miners taking on the Cochrane Crunch, and it was the Crunch with a 5-0 win over the Gold Miners. So looking at the standings right now in the way too early department, it is early, but in the West, Rayside Balfour, they have 11 points. Blind River has 11 points. Rayside with 8. The Thunderbirds in third with 7. And the Eagles right now with 6 points in fourth place with a record of 2-2-1-1. The Thunderbirds are 3-3-0-1. So really looks like it's going to be a very evenly matched series between the Eagles and Thunderbirds, to no one's surprise. Couple other NOJHL notes before we go to our first break. How about the Blind River Beavers and their start? The Eagles knocked them off, but they make the top 20 Canadian Junior Hockey League rankings for the first ever time. They come in at number 20, so, they're a small market team, and we follow the Thunderbirds and Eagles here, but always got a little soft spot for Blind River. Of course, our good friend Dave McKegg, co-host of the game. He played his hockey there, among other places. I think several other places. We like to give him a hard time about that. But Blind River ranked for the first time in the latest Canadian Junior Hockey League rankings. And the 3 stars of the week in the NLJHL were announced. And Soo Eagles goaltender Shane Brancato started all 3 games for the Eagles, as I mentioned. Faced over 100 shots and winning 2 of those games. And dating back to last season, Brancato in his last 17 games, 11-4-1-1. He's playing very, very good hockey to start the season. We're going to take our first break on the game. When we come back, we're going to recap more local sports. The Soo Greyhounds started their season this weekend, a successful couple games. The Soo Indians traveled to the Blaine Showcase. They had a big weekend. We'll talk about that, some Algoma U and Sioux College news, and we'll maybe even get to some Laker athletics before our guests get here at 6:30. Again, we're going to be joined by Dr. David Paitson, Director of Athletics at LSSU, along with their head hockey coach, Damon Whitten, talking about a big press conference at Memorial Gardens, which happened earlier this morning, as the Lakers will be playing a game over at the Memorial Gardens. We'll talk more about that coming up at 6:30, and we're going to take a break here on the game. We'll be back. You're listening to The Game on ESPN 1400.
Fall is in the air, Tyler. You know what that means?
Yep, closeout pricing in all of 2019s. And here at Rodenroth Motors, we have the largest selection of Chevy, Buick, and GMCs in the Eastern UP.
Along with the lowest lease payments and biggest discounts, make it the best time of year to buy your new car.
New 2019 Chevy Trax LT all-wheel drive with a window sticker of $27,485 has over $5,300 in discounts and rebates. Now only $22,185, and everybody qualifies for this deal.
Our number 1 selling vehicle, the Chevy Equinox all-wheel drive, and anybody can lease a new one for $282 per month with only $1,482 due at signing.
Wow, and everyone qualifies for that deal?
Yep, and even less if you're a current GM leasee or one of those other brands.
Don't forget, here at Rodenroth Motors, we have the largest selection of quality used cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs, all priced below market.
Guess fall is the best time of year to buy a new car.
Or used.
Come see why all roads lead to Rodenroth Motors for Chevy, Buick, and GMC, the number 1 volume dealer in the Eastern UP. Chevy, find new roads.
Arfstrom Medical Equipment and Supplies wants you to know September 23rd through 29th is Falls Prevention Awareness Week. Arfstrom Medical Equipment and Supplies has what you need to help prevent you or your loved ones from injuries.
Hi, this is Andrew Miller, manager of Arfstrom Medical Equipment and Supplies. Did you know that every year about 2.8 million older adults are treated in emergency departments for injuries sustained from a fall? Most falls can be prevented or reduced by having the proper equipment in place. We have a selection of bath safety items to help keep you safe, such as shower and transfer benches, commodes, safety rails, and much more. Our knowledgeable and caring staff will work with you and help you pick the right equipment for your needs.
Arfstrom Medical Equipment and Supplies is part of Arfstrom Pharmacy, your locally owned Health Mart pharmacy, located at 409 Ashman Street in downtown Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan.
Health Mart, caring for you and about you.
Overacting?
Once more into the breach, dear friends, once more. Or close the wall up with our English dead. In peace, there's nothing.
Underacting.
Once more into the breach, dear friends, once more, or close the wall up with our English dead. It doesn't take a theater director to tell the difference between overacting and underacting, but it's not as easy knowing whether you're overinsured or underinsured. A low rate isn't a good thing if everything you hold dear, your family, your home, your future, isn't protected properly. That's why you have Farm Bureau of Michigan agent Dean Garlinghouse to take the drama out of making sure you have the coverage you need. Insurance is Dean's life. Trust your future to Dean Garlinghouse to avoid poor coverage.
Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him, Horatio. A fellow of infinite jest, a most excellent fancy.
Oy. So you can get on with your life. Call Dean Garlinghouse at Farm Bureau Insurance today.
Let's get back to the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. Let's get back to the game on ESPN 1400.
Welcome back to the game on ESPN 1400. Also heard online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason back recapping the week that was in local sports. In about 10 minutes, we'll be joined by LSSU Director of Athletics, giving him a promotion there, David Paitson, along with LSSU head hockey coach Damon Whitten, who will be talking about the big announcement at the Memorial Gardens today about Laker hockey playing in that venue. But we have a lot of other hockey to cover, including the team that plays their regular season games, all of their regular season games at the Memorial Gardens. The Soo Greyhounds, well, they got off to a very good start this weekend at home in a couple games you heard on our sister station, Rock 101, with Jerry Liscombe Jr. About 4,300 fans on Friday night saw the Soo Greyhounds win their opening game by the score of 6-3 over the Flint Firebirds. Cullen McLean, he had a pair of goals for the Hounds, while Cole McKay, Yarmir Plitnick, and Tanner Dixon had 2 assists each. Holden Whale, Ty Cart, Mark Boudreau, and Ryan O'Rourke also had goals for the Hounds, and Christian Propp, he made 28 saves in net for the victory. And then the Soo Greyhounds would have a back-and-forth affair on Saturday night as Plitnick's goal midway through the third period lifted the Hounds to a 6-4 win over the North Bay Battalion on Saturday night. Plitnick had 2 goals and an assist. Zach Trott and Ryan Roth, they had a goal and 2 assists for the Hounds, who are now 2-0 on the young season, and they're going to host Kitchener on Friday night and then travel to Saginaw on Saturday. As I mentioned, both games can be heard on our sister station, Rock 101, with Jerry Liscombe Jr. Just one game in the OHL last night. Sudbury, they get their first win as they go on the road and top Mississauga by the score of 3-1. The Sioux Indians, they were at the Blaine Showcase in Blaine, Minnesota. Lots of scouts at this one, and well, lots of scouts saw the Indians win 3 of the 4 games. They opened up the Blaine Showcase on Thursday as they defeated the Northeast Generals by the score of 2-0. Nick Castillo and Jaden Martin had goals for the Indians, while former Soo High Blue Devil Logan Raphael, he had a big weekend. He earned the shutout in net for the Indians. Indians would take on Shattuck St. Mary's on Friday. They would fall in that one by the score of 3-1, but then they would come back and win on Saturday against the under-18 Minnesota Loons by the score of 3-2. Tommy Cahill, Jack Swan, and Chase Tiller all scored goals for the Indians. Logan Raphael, he earned the win in net for the home team, at least our home team. And then yesterday, the Indians all over the Minnesota Magicians by the score of 5-1. And so the Indians now 4-3 on the season, finishing that Blaine Showcase with 3 wins and a loss. And they're going to return to the Taffy Abel Arena this Saturday and Sunday, as they're going to have 3 games taking on the Tri-State Spartans from Indianapolis, Indiana. Game times on Saturday will be 9:30 and 5:30, and then at 10 a.m. Sunday morning. Again, those games at the Taffy Abel Arena, and they're free. So go out and see the Indians. They got a lot of talent on that team. Sioux Junior Greyhounds were also involved in a tournament this weekend, the AAA Midget Squad in Sioux, Ontario. Good success for them at the Titans tournament in Toronto, where they went 3-1 during round-robin play. They would fall on Saturday in the playoff round to the Mississauga Reps by the score of 2-0. Local Sioux, Michigan native and former Soo High Blue Devil Abby Rock will be an alternate captain this year for the University of Wisconsin's Badgers women's hockey team. Great weekend for Wisconsin. We'll talk more about that in the second hour. Sorry, Michigan fans. Rock led the team last year in points with 43, including the game-winning goal in the Badgers' semifinal win against Clarkson. She was also named preseason co-player of the year. And so congratulations to Abby Rock. I said before, and I'll say again, the best athlete to come out of Sault Ste. Marie, period. There's been a lot of good ones. I think she's the best personally. Sioux College, they had their hockey team open the season in their American Collegiate Hockey Association's Division III championship last year. Well, they've moved up to Division II, playing at the Rankin Arena this year. They topped Miami of Ohio by the score of 5-2 on Saturday and 10-1 on Sunday. And lots of familiar names on that squad. NOJHL fans will remember Soo Eagles Austin Rowe on that team. Some other ones, Tanner Main, Mark Tassone, Noah Sare, Max Cole. It's a list of thousands. And so Sioux College 2-0 on the season. They're going to travel to Trine University this Friday and Saturday. Sioux College women's hockey team was at the Big Bear Arena this Saturday for a pair of games against Northern Michigan University. And the Cougars dropped both of them to the Wildcats by the score of 9-2 and 6-5. And the women's Sioux College team will travel to Adrian this Friday night and Saturday morning. Sioux College soccer on the weekend, while the men dropped a 10-0 decision to Durham at Superior Heights, while the women fell 7-0. The teams will hit the road this weekend and take on Seneca on Saturday and George Brown on Sunday. Algoma University, well, lots of news there as they announced the signing of basketball player Edmund Soo to their men's basketball team. Soo came to Canada from Sudan and was raised in Fredericton, New Brunswick for most of his schooling career. Edmund is a point guard who played for Leo Hayes High School, then later played for the Heritage College Hurricanes. He's enrolled at Algoma U's fourth-year law and justice program along with political science, and so another signing for Algoma U. Men's and women's soccer over the weekend. Algoma University were at Guelph on Saturday to take on the Gripons. I love that name, the Guelph Gripons. I have no idea what a Gripon is, but I guess that's what the internet's for. Maybe I'll look that up. Maybe I can unbreak. The men's team fell 6-0 to the Gripons, while the women would fall in a 9-1 affair. Helen Layden scored the only goal for the Thunderbirds, and both the men's and women's soccer teams for Algoma, they're going to be in action in Soo, Ontario this weekend at Superior Heights. 2 games for each squad. They'll take on Brock University this Saturday and Sunday. The women will play at 1 and the men will play at 3. We'll talk more about Laker athletics with their director of athletics, David Paitson, coming up, who's pulling in as we speak. Coach Whitten is here talking about the volleyball team. They would fall in a pair of games this weekend, starting with Ferris State on Friday by a 3-0 count. They would lose to Northwood 3-1. The Lakers will travel to Marquette to take on the Northern Michigan Wildcats on Friday night, 7 o'clock, and then we'll be at Michigan Tech on Saturday. And congratulations to David Mitter. He won first in the overall for the men in the 8,000-meter distance run, while Rebecca Lathrop placed 10th at the second annual Warrior Challenge hosted by Wayne State University over the weekend. And so a couple good results for a very much improved program. And the Lakers, they're going to have a few weeks off before going to the 5th annual Crossover Conference Cross-Country Invitational. That's a mouthful, hosted by Lewis University. That one's in Illinois. We're going to take another break here on the game. Our guests have arrived, and we have lots to talk about in the world of Laker athletics with their hockey coach, Damon Whitten, and their athletic director, Dr. David Paitson. Those names are familiar. I got to make sure not to say those together anymore. You're listening to The Game on ESPN 1400.
O'Connor's, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram.
Big fall doings in September at O'Connor's of Pickford, where Ram Power Days are on. Want to lease a new 2019 Ram Bighorn Quad Cab 4x4? O'Connor's delivers with a low mileage lease for just $319 a month plus tax with approved credit. You pay just $9.99 at signing. Ram Power Days all month long. Get the deal you want on the Ram you dream about at O'Connor's of Pickford.
O'Connor's, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram.
Jeep Adventure Days are on all month at O'Connor's of Pickford. Get a new Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk with up to $6,750 in rebates and incentives. Or enjoy an ultra-low mileage lease on a new 2019 Jeep Compass. It's just $275 a month plus tax with good credit, and you pay just $550 at signing. Jeep Adventure Days all month long. Get the deal you want on the Jeep you dream about at O'Connor's of Pickford.
O'Connor's, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram.
Well, it's nearing the end of our beautiful summer, and if you'd like to kill 2 birds with 1 stone... Wait, that was just an expression. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, you can make some extra money by cleaning up around your home, garage, and yard. Gather your scrap metal and bring it to Reed Metals. Reed Metals pays $50 for a full, large General Motors catalytic converter and $6 per average car battery and $12 per semi-battery. Bring in scrap vehicles or any other recyclable metals, and they'll print you a check. Reed Metals, the honest one-stop metal recycling business. Visit reedmetals.com or call 906-632-0018. Reed Metals, 13 miles south of the Soo on Mackinac Trail. Reed Metals is only minutes away from helping you make money before the summer ends. No birds were harmed during this production, nor were any actual stones thrown.
This is a good move for us. We're excited.
Paul Thompson here with Gaylor Thompson Sales and Service, just off I-75 in Rudyard, inviting you to stop in and see the largest selection of equipment in the Eastern Upper Peninsula. To complement our full line of Mahindra tractors, we have trailers including goosenecks, dumps, cargos, car haulers, and utility trailers. We also have a full line of lawn and garden equipment with Cub Cadet and Exmark. Over 50 mowers to choose from, a full line of parts, and we service what we sell. Looking for an outdoor wood or pellet furnace or parts? We stock water pumps, exchangers, PEX supplies, and more. Also, check out our full line of Boss and Fisher snow and ice equipment. Here at Gaylor Thompson and Rudyard, we are open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturdays, 9 to noon for your convenience. Just off I-75 in Rudyard, 30 minutes from the bridge. If you need it, we have it. Give us a call at 906-478-3026. Hope to see you here.
Ooh, yeah! Wake up, Michigan, with a small coffee from McDonald's for just $1. Freshly brewed from Arabica beans, this cup of Joe packs flavor. And the fact that you can bundle any size coffee or any size soft drink with a delicious sausage McMuffin for just $2 might be enough to make you into a morning person like moi. Michigan mornings start at McDonald's. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
You can catch podcasts of the game at thegamesportshow.com. Now let's get back to it with Scott Nason here on ESPN 1400.
Welcome back to the game on ESPN 1400. Also heard online at thegamesportshow.com. Bottom of the hour here in hour one of our 2-hour local, regional, and national sports show. And we are joined by a pair of guests from Lake Superior State University, their director of athletics, Dr. David Paitson, and their head hockey coach, Damon Whitten, joining us here on the game. Gentlemen, it's great to see you. I know there's lots of big news today, but first of all, thanks for joining us once again on the game.
Great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Always great to talk Laker hockey and joining us. So thanks so much for having us.
Well, we are definitely going to be talking Laker hockey right now and probably throughout this half hour, as a big announcement was made over at the Memorial Gardens this morning. Lake Superior State University, in association with the city of Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, pleased to announce that the LSSU men's hockey team, they're going to host Alabama Huntsville on February 15th at the GFL Memorial Gardens, 7 o'clock face-off time. This will be the first game played by the university in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Now, this is something, talking on the break, guys, that I've heard rumblings, and I know this took a long time to really iron out all the details. So, Dr. Paitson, I'll go to you first. First of all, I guess the first question I have is, how did this idea come up? I mean, this is something that's been talked about for a while around here, before you guys even both came to town. How did this idea come about to work with the Memorial Gardens and get a game over in Soo, Ontario?
Well, I think, first of all, it's just, you look at the market as a total with both cities, the Twin Soos, I guess, and really see, what are the opportunities to kind of help promote the program, promote the university. And it just really seemed kind of easy, to be honest with you, to say, listen, we've got all these folks across the river that love hockey, and we want more of them to come back over to watch the Lakers. We do get a number of Canadians that come over, but we'd like to get more always, right? And also look at this as an opportunity to promote the university and hockey in general, the great heritage of hockey. But I've done something like this in my past life at Sam Houston State.
Okay.
Whereas my previous stop, we took a rivalry game. We partnered for a rivalry football game and partnered with the Houston Texans and actually did our game at Reliance Stadium and really turned that into a major event. And it was, it had tremendous effects on, imagine, the power of the Houston Texans behind the message, in a market where you have 6 million people. All right. And so Sam Houston State's name, is mentioned through all those vehicles. And, it was a great event. We did, first year, we were trying to sell the lower bowl. First year we did 24,500. The last year I was there is 27,500. So it was like the biggest events in FCS football. So that had an effect on the university profile, athletic profile, recruiting both student athletes and recruiting, people to the university. And same thing here. This is maybe a little bit smaller scale than an NFL team, but it's still for people that love hockey, in this area, it's the Lakers or the Greyhounds, primarily is the number 1 and 2 teams. So when we can get in front of a different audience and kind of expand our audience a bit, that's really positive for us.
Coach Damon Whitten also joining us. And Coach, from a head coach's perspective in the process, how involved have you been? And, what are your thoughts as far as, you lose a home game somewhat playing in a different rink, but what are your thoughts on this whole move?
I think it's just a lot of excitement, and certainly as David mentioned, his experience is what kind of brought it forward. And when he first brought it up, we were all on board. I mean, you mentioned it'll be a little bit different than your typical home game when you're in your own locker room and things like that. But we think it's a great opportunity to go across and be in front of that fan base and that population. Obviously, the hope is all of our season ticket holders and our fans make that small journey over. It's under 5 miles, so it's not too tough of a trip for everybody. But we understand there's some challenges to get over there and things like that. So no, we were just all on board. We're excited. I think one of the things that early on for me really hit right away is what this means to the youth of both communities. For me and for my background, we want to grow the base. We want kids playing. So many great names came out of that community and our community and our programs. We want to make that next Ashton Calder or Doug Wade or, Phil Esposito, whatever it is. And for me, that was a big part of it. If we can grow hockey and celebrate the youth hockey players, it's going to be a really successful event.
Dr. Paitson, what were some of the fine print or the details that had to be arranged with this as far as NCAA? Now, this being it's not a game against the Sioux Greyhounds, which I think can't happen if I'm not mistaken, between the two different leagues and rules. Did you have to get the NCAA's permission, the WCHA, Canada Hockey, immigration? I don't even know who else you got to get involved. Had to be a lot of things, a lot of moving parts with this.
There are details, but not as many as if as though we were playing an international opponent. Okay.
Right.
So that makes it different.
Because that's once every 4 years.
That's once every 4 years. Yeah. So we were kind of on that track first. Is it like that with this? And it's really not. So we went through, had Rico, we're going to go through our, compliance issues and check the NCAA, call the NCAA, make sure that we are good on that. And we can do this. It's just basically us taking a game across. Now that's also sounds, I made that probably sound a little easier than it actually is. Because there are a lot of nuts and bolts things to work through, including getting through that border, and a team that will agree to do that. So Alabama Huntsville was terrific about that. And then, there are different labor laws and things like that for game workers. And, there's just a lot of things to get into there. But those are things that we've talked through, at least on the broader sense. And then we'll start working those issues as we go here over the next few months.
And Coach Whitten, this comes at a really good time for this to happen, to show your product to a kind of a new audience, because, the Lakers are coming off their best season in 23 years last year. You have a lot of returning players, especially on the defensive end and goaltending. And so your program's on the upswing. And so you got a pretty good team to showcase, I think.
Yeah, we definitely think so. As you mentioned, it was a strong year last year. The nature of college hockey is you're going to lose your seniors, and in today's world, some of your underclassmen. So it's going to change year to year. But we do return a lot of really key pieces and feel like we can continue with that progress and that growth. Obviously, our goals will continue to elevate along with that season, and we need to be better and take more steps. But yeah, like you said, I do like the timing of it, and to show ourselves to that market. I think they're really going to enjoy our brand of hockey and the NCAA style of play. So that's really exciting. And I think moving forward, obviously we'll get through year one and see what it looks like, but this would be an annual event moving forward and really grow into a hockey day in the Soo, and, get everybody involved that can be involved, because we have such great history and tradition at junior level, high school level, all those areas, and just make it a tremendous day of hockey.
Yeah. And if I can just kind of jump onto that,
you can jump in anytime.
Because, think about this. Is there a closer NCAA Division I and major junior program in closer proximity anywhere?
No,
not even close. So we have such great heritage, right? And everybody knows that. The players that play for the Lakers, Greyhounds, and players that didn't play for either that went on to great things. Hockey Hall of Fame, Stanley Cups, Olympians, and all of that here. Let's remind people of that. Let's, be proud of what we have, and what is a real hockey hotbed. And we want to make it a celebration all the way across the board here. So we we're going to build those relationships with the various youth and various hockey organizations on both sides of the river, which, 2 years in, I'm still, trying to get there on that personally, and make this a showcase for not just Lakers, okay, but hockey in general, and then also, of course, the university. We want to showcase the university and all the academic programs, all the things that we do. So it's going to be, in some respects, I hate to say this, it's going to be a great event, but it'll also be a 3-hour commercial, to promote.
Hey, we got time.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So.
And one of the things I was thinking, and I don't know if any thought has been put towards us, Damon, I'll ask you this question. Would there be any interest, or even is it possible to maybe, we say Hockey Day in Sault Ste. Marie, a doubleheader, so to speak, have the Greyhounds play one of their games and maybe the Lakers play either before or after that? Is that a realistic possibility?
Well, I think that's, as we went into it, we were pretty wide open in terms of who would play, what it would look like. And I think that was certainly one of our areas to explore, is if it could make it a doubleheader and eventually, build more with the Thunderbirds and Eagles, whether it's the day before or triple header.
Absolutely.
Whatever that looks like. So the way logistically it worked out this year with open dates and availability, we actually want to do a little bit early in the season, ideally as well. But just with the building availability and things of that nature, this is where it came down to this year. But I think it'd be great. I think it'd be a great partnership to work with them. And again, just celebrate our history. One of the things at the press conference, I talked about the Espositos, the Gretzkys, Ron Francis. You look at Dougie Waite and Jimmy Dowd and Brian Ralston, and then our local guys like Chase Gamble and Ashton Calder, Nico Esposito, one of our freshmen, with the grandson of Phil Esposito. So we want to celebrate that, and we want to inspire the next generation to be part of it. So I think that'd be tremendous, and I hope it's something we can evolve on and work to in future events.
Dr. David Paitson and Damon Whitten joining us here on the game. Couple more questions, guys, before we go to break. We'll keep you around for the final segment. But, growing up here in Sault Ste. Marie, we have seen very good hockey. And I can recall just in high school and out of high school, there was about a 5-6 year stretch where you had the Lakers winning 3 national championships, an NCAA title game, the Sioux Greyhounds winning a Memorial Cup, and the amount of hockey that we have. And all these programs right now are doing very well. We talked about the Sioux Indians. They got a good midget AAA program. The Soo Eagles and Sioux Thunderbirds all having success. Lakers back on the march in the right direction. The Greyhounds having a 7-year run just to stay on top. There's a lot of good hockey, and this just adds more to a base that's really fortunate to have a lot of good hockey to see.
Yeah, and I think we're stronger together, promoting together, and really looking at how it all fits together too. Correct?
Yeah. And I think that for me, as we got through that initial, what does it look like logistically? Does it work? To me, that was a great moment and opportunity, to keep that moving forward. The names that came out of this, whether it's community or former alum that moved in from wherever to play here, is just, it's almost unmatched.
Yeah.
The names you can go through. It's really amazing. And so I think it's a great opportunity to inspire that next generation and build.
Damon, the junior hockey game and the college hockey game, there's always comparisons that are made as far as, and sometimes you have fans that don't go to college hockey and just watch junior and vice versa. As a coach, as a player, what are your thoughts on what are the main differences besides obviously schooling and such like that? What are the main differences between just the actual game of hockey for both? Is it that different?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't get to watch much, quite honestly, at least of the OHL, because usually, if they're home, we're home, or vice versa. So we don't have many and if we do have an off weekend, we're going to go watch, junior eligible players that we can recruit to. So, I don't think there's the big thing to me between the major junior OHL is some of the age differences. Our seniors are going to be 24, 25 years old. These are well-developed men, and some of those, their most impactful players are 16, 17 years old. So that physical maturity in that age is pretty significant at that age. So, to me, there's a little bit different type of game because of that at times. But again, I don't have a great feel because I don't get to watch much, but 2 great products, some similarities in some areas different, but I think either way, we're very spoiled in our area to have those 2 offerings 5 miles apart. And as David said, it's a great advertising for us. If they're out of town, we want those fans to come over, and vice versa. We hope one year they'll come back and, maybe bring Flint or Saginaw up where their fans don't have to cross the bridge, can watch a game in our rink, and really just become great partners and build our hockey community in our base.
Gentlemen, stick around for another segment. We're going to take our final break here in hour one. We come back, we're going to talk more about this new partnership with the Memorial Gardens. We'll get into the logistics on ticket sales, season tickets, how that goes about. We'll also talk about a free ticket promotion Lake State has next weekend for the opening weekend of Laker hockey against Merrimack. We'll talk about all that and more with Director of Athletics, Dr. David Paitson, and head hockey coach Damon Whitten coming up on the game here on ESPN 1400.
The local housing market is competitive, and unless you have the right team in your corner, you might miss out on your dream home. That's why happy customers choose Old Mission Bank for their home mortgage needs. We provide quality service from the time you submit your application to closing and then through the entire life of your loan. Let our friendly, knowledgeable staff be your financial partner. Call or stop by to check out our competitive rates and all the other fast, simple solutions we offer at Old Mission Bank. We're located in Pickford and Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. FDIC insured, equal housing lender.
Life is busy. Get out and enjoy the fun. Whether that means a block party with the neighborhood or tailgating with the gang, the Honda EU 2200i has you covered. Besides being lightweight and durable, Honda portable generators are extremely quiet and can run for hours and hours. The Honda EU 2200i now has 200 watts more power with models up to 4,400 watts. You'll love the fuel efficiency and reliability of your new Honda generator. Go to Honda.com or, better yet, visit Leak Sports Center on the I-75 Business Spur and learn firsthand all the ways you can put a Honda generator to work for you. Honda, it's power you can trust.
Mo at M&C Water Systems has a solution for all your water needs. Want clean, fresh drinking water? M&C Water Systems proudly distributes natural, artesian water for all your bottled water needs. Cooler rental and bottled water delivery for your home and office are available. M&C Water Systems delivers to all the local islands, too. Need a water filter? M&C has them. Need a softener? Drinking water system? Want to find out about reverse osmosis? Call Mo at M&C Water Systems today at 906-647-7307, serving the Eastern Upper Peninsula for over 25 years.
You want more from a compact or utility tractor, and at Skinner's of Pickford, you'll find more. More of the newest Massey Ferguson tractors, offering more versatility, more durability, and more performance. Stop by today and find out how Massey Ferguson is expanding the possibilities of what a great tractor can be, and why a Massey Ferguson will be the last tractor you'll ever need. Come see the Massey Ferguson compact and utility tractors at Skinner's of Pickford, your tractor source in the north. You wanted a small tractor with a mid-PTO for more versatility. Massey Ferguson responded by bringing back a versatile workhorse, the Massey Ferguson 1526 compact tractor, now available at Skinner's of Pickford. A tractor that can do more because it's made to handle more, as hardworking and no nonsense as you are. See it today at Skinner's of Pickford, your tractor source in the north. Let's get back to the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. Let's get back to the game on ESPN 1400.
Welcome back to the game on ESPN 1400 and online at thegamesportshow.com. We're continuing to be joined by our special guests, Dr. David Paitson, Director of Athletics at Lake Superior State University, and head hockey coach Damon Whitten. Joining us here is the Lakers about to start their season in a week and a half, or a little under 2 weeks. We'll talk about that here in a moment. But Dr. Paitson wanted to get a little bit more details as far as this venture. As I mentioned earlier, the Lakers will be playing a hockey game at the Memorial Gardens this upcoming February 15th at 7 p.m. against the Alabama Huntsville Chargers. And the question I have is, season ticket holders here for the Lakers. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they will be getting tickets for this game.
Yes.
How does that work logistically as far as how they get their tickets?
Yeah.
Do they get their tickets anywhere near where their seats are here? Obviously, it's a bigger stadium at the Memorial Garden. Just give us an idea on tickets availability and how that process works.
Yeah. Well, first of all, process will be the existing Greyhound season seat holders will have first opportunity at their seats. They'll have about a 2-week time period.
Okay.
And I think that has actually been launched to them as of today.
Okay.
So they'll have two weeks to decide whether they want to keep their seats. Now, we'd love to think everybody's going to keep them, and then we'll have a nice problem to have.
Absolutely.
But we think a percentage of them will. But then once that happens, then at the end of that 2-week period, we will plug in all of our existing season seat holders into like locations. So if they're at center ice or in the corner, wherever they may be, we'll look at the map and hand plug those in, and we'll have a 2 or 3 day time period to get that done. And then from there, it'll go wide open to the public. Now, the folks already have a ticket in hand physically, and then it does, if they were paying attention, but they probably weren't scanning through there.
I noticed on the schedule, actually, I saw a venue location there. Yeah,
and some did notice it. Okay. That it actually does say GFL Gardens. Right. Now, you won't use that ticket. We'll change that ticket out for a ticket for this particular game, but we'll do that from our box office some point in mid-February when we're ready to go. We'll drop out a notification to all the ticket holders and say your tickets are ready. Come pick those up, or we'll mail them or whatever.
Yeah, season ticket holders for the Hounds will have from today until October 7th at 5 p.m. to get their tickets at the GFL Memorial Gardens box office only. As Dr. Paitson said, season ticket holders will be issued tickets as part of their ticket package, and tickets for the general public will go on sale October 11th at 10 a.m. Tickets can be purchased at the Memorial Gardens box office. You also get them online at gflgardens.ca or by calling 866-775-9422. All that information can be found on the Laker Athletic page, lssulakers.com. Coach, we're 11 days away from opening night against Merrimack College, a team that you opened up against on the road last year, and I think really got your season on the right track, winning those 2 games. At Merrimack, maybe not the toughest team you'll play, but they're always tough. What are your thoughts about going into that contest, opening up against Merrimack, and then coming up the following weekend? I know you're not thinking about that yet, but Denver comes into town, I think, for the first time ever, as far as I know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's the first time or not. Obviously, a very storied program, but like you said, before Denver gets here, we do have Merrimack to prepare for and get ready for. It's kind of an interesting note that many of your listeners know Scott Borick will be making his return here as a head coach. So we'll welcome Scott Borick back, and I guess not a big home ice advantage because he knows this town and facility very well. But they're going to be interesting. They've got about 15 or 16 freshmen coming in, 2 or 3 transfers, so they're almost an entirely new team. Because we played them last year, we have a little bit of a feel as they do of us. But it will be, an interesting series. And I think they're going to be extremely hard to play against because they are so new. They got a lot of new faces trying to earn opportunities and earn roles. So we definitely going to have to be ready. And we're working on that as much as we're allowed per our NCAA limited hours. But we like our team. It's a really good group. Obviously, as we've gone around, people want to know how we're going to score with some of our losses of that forward group in particular last year. And, and that's going to be a little bit of a question. Our senior class, just like they did last year, will have to step up and lead the way. And, Max Humitz is one of those guys, is one of our captains and one of the top, I think, 3rd in the country in returning offense nationally. So Max will be a big focal point for us offensively. And I think the other thing that, is going to have to be good for us really is our back end. We returned nearly our entire D-core back intact. Steven Ruggiero is the only one who, out of our starting group in particular, that finished up his eligibility and just a little bit short of graduating, but we'll miss Ruggs. But the rest of our group's back. It was one of the highest scoring D-cores in the country. I think we're also top 15 or top 17 in team defense. So it's an experienced group. It's a talented group, and they're going to have to be really good for us early on. And I think out of the gates, we'll probably expect Merrick Mittens to kind of shoulder the load early on as Roman Bangert looks to establish himself and gain some time, and Seth Isley, one of our freshman goaltenders, emerges as well. So back end's going to be important for us, and then we need some guys to step up and lead us in scoring.
And you lose a very good goaltender, but as you mentioned, returning Mittens, who's played a lot of high-level hockey here over the past little bit for, I believe, Latvia, his home country there. I mean, that can only help him in college hockey.
Yeah, no question. I think he's played 30 games college hockey as well. So, Nick Kossoff had a tremendous year, and, we probably thought Merrick's would have played a little bit more as a sophomore, but it got a little bit dialed back because of the strong year that Nick had, and a real credit to him in his senior year. But as you said, Merrick's has played for Latvia World Juniors. He's played Russia. He's played Canada. He's played USA. So he's been in some big-time games and some big-time venues. He was the only goal in the country last year to go in and win win a game at Mankato on that 1-0 shutout. So he's very capable, and he can not only steal games, but he can be rock solid when you don't need him to steal games as well. And so a little bit more consistency this year, but we think he can be one of the best goaltenders in the league in the country, and we're going to need him to be that.
Dr. Paitson, one of the things that you wanted to do upon your arrival this year, third year here at Lake State
This is
already?
third. Yeah.
Third year is
the third.
provide some stability in the coaching ranks, and you're seeing that paying off. And we mentioned some of the programs already. Obviously, the hockey program having its best season in over 20 years. You have the cross country program and track and field that's on the rise.
Yeah.
Volleyball teams winning more matches. The women's basketball teams winning more games. The men's basketball program has been up there. I mean, all these programs are heading in the right direction. I don't see any of them that are heading downhill.
No, it comes down to people.
Yeah.
People, and I have a phrase now I like to use, people, plan, and positivity. There's just always something that can give you a curveball or set you back or whatever, but you have to kind of attack things in a way that are positive too. But we have the right people, and that's where really where it starts. And, we had such a great year last year in hockey, but we saw good movement in the other sports as well. And again, you mentioned cross. David Mitter just won, out of 77 runners, finished first this last weekend in a meet, and he's just been terrific over the last 2 years. And we've had Lexi Ann Druin in tennis being the GLIAC Player of the Year when she was a freshman. The Player of the Year, not the Freshman of the Year, the Player of the Year 2 years ago. So there's a lot of real good individual efforts as well as the teams, but it comes back to having the right coaches in place. So being committed to them being committed to the program, all that really is essential for you. You have to have the continuity to have any chance, I think, to have a program that's going to work.
Damon, going back to the hockey program and the schedule, we mentioned the 4 games opening up. I mean, it's a tough schedule. I mean, you guys have scheduled pretty hard, for lack of a better term. You go to Michigan again this year. I mean, the place was packed last year when the Wolverines came up here. You go to Notre Dame, former head coach Jeff Jackson. Then your conference schedule goes. Looking at the schedule, do you like having those opponents? Obviously, you want to get opponents like that. That can only help your team.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to compete and win a championship, as we aspire to do, you're going to have to beat good teams, and sometimes on the road. So, we're excited about that schedule. It is going to be extremely challenging, and we look forward for doing that. It's going to fluctuate sometimes from year to year. Depending on, finishing up contracts and things like that. And this year just happens to be, pretty front loaded, in our non-conference slate. But, it's going to be great to welcome Denver in. As you said, they maybe have never been here. They'll be a preseason top 3, maybe number 1. So that'll be great. And then going down to Michigan, Ann Arbor, those are great old CCHA rivalries. And we'll get Coach Jackson and his Notre Dame team back in here to return that trip down the road. So we'll look to continue to schedule at a high level and have some work to do there. But it'll challenge us, and we'll know a lot about our team right out of the gates.
And your team now has expectations after finishing in the top 4, winning a home playoff series, winning that Great Lakes Invitational. Do you go into the season in a different mindset now that you're not maybe the team that's chasing everyone? Now you might be the team that people are chasing. That's a good thing. Yeah, I think the only mindset is a little bit, better belief within the players. And you mentioned Merrimack last year, to go out on the road in a Hockey East building. I'd never been there, so you get familiar with where you go, and you kind of know the town and the hotels and the facilities. So going in there, it all feels a little bit different. But that gave us confidence in the GLI, as you mentioned, the first round playoff sweep. We know we can play with anybody, and so that's maybe that belief, that buy-in's a little bit different, but we're still a day-by-day kind of team and program. We just want to show up and improve, and put the time in day by day and get better. So that's the mindset, and we've got a really good leadership group. We've got a great locker room that continued over the last couple of years. So we're looking forward to it, and we think we got the group that can really turn some heads and have a great season. Final question for you guys: Great Lakes Invitational banner. Will there be one, and will it be hung? Or did I just come up with an idea? Yeah. You know what? Our rafters are pretty full up there, with the national championships and league championships. So, I know we're doing some things internally to recognize that. It'll be, the fan area and our players area. We haven't sent the trophy back yet. We're still, Denny's got that up in the shop, but at some point we'll have to get that thing back. But yeah, I don't know the band. I think we have room. I mean, they're so full up in those rafters with the history and tradition.
But it was a real highlight. And I said then, I don't know if you heard Scott, but it's hard to do something for the first time in Lake State hockey because of our history. So that it was a big moment and a great stage for our guys. And it will give us, a little springboard going to the season still.
As an alum and as a fan, it was nice to see it on TV. It really brought back a lot of memories for me. Dr. David Paitson and Damon Whitten joining us on the game. Dr. Paitson, any final thoughts before we let you go?
No, I'm just looking forward to a great hockey season, looking forward to this event, looking forward to getting things kicked off. Coach didn't do a light schedule for October whatsoever. No. But I'm very excited. Did want to mention that we are doing a promotion for the first game.
Please do.
Which it'll be a one-time only. We don't normally do this, but do kids free for the free weekend. Okay. And it is a Saturday and Sunday. Hockey has that odd start to every season. So it is a Saturday at 7 and a Sunday at 5.
Correct. Yep.
Next weekend, not this coming weekend, but the next weekend. So kids free, 17 and under.
Bring the kids to Laker hockey. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. You can hear Damon on the Laker Hockey Show with Bill Crawford starting next Tuesday at 6 o'clock. And then you can also hear Laker hockey with Bill Crawford on our sister station, Today's Hits 99.5 ESFM. Gentlemen, good to see you. Hope to talk to you again this season, and best of luck this season. And thanks for coming on the game.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you having us.
Thank you.
All right, and that's going to do it for hour one of the game. We come back in hour two. We're going to talk Detroit sports with Butch Davis. He'll be up next on the game here on ESPN 1400.
Fall is in the air, Tyler. You know what that means?
Yep, closeout pricing on all 2019s. And here at Rodenroth Motors, we have the largest selection of Chevy, Buick, and GMCs in the Eastern UP.
Along with the lowest lease payments and biggest discounts, make it the best time of year to buy your new car.
New 2019 Chevy Trax LT all-wheel drive with a window sticker of $27,485 has over $5,300 in discounts and rebates. Now only $22,185, and everybody qualifies for this deal.
Our number one selling vehicle, the Chevy Equinox all-wheel drive, and anybody can lease a new one for $282 per month with only $1,482 due at signing.
Wow, and everyone qualifies for that deal?
Yep, and even less if you're a current GM leasee or one of those other brands.
Don't forget, here at Rodenroth Motors, we have the largest selection of quality used cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs, all priced below market.
Guess fall is the best time of year to buy a new car.
Or used.
Come see why all roads lead to Rodenroth Motors for Chevy, Buick, and GMC, the number one volume dealer in the Eastern UP. Chevy, find new roads.
Arfstrom Medical Equipment and Supplies wants you to know September 23rd through 29th is Falls Prevention Awareness Week. Arfstrom Medical Equipment and Supplies has what you need to help prevent you or your loved ones from injuries.
Hi, this is Andrew Miller, manager of Arfstrom Medical Equipment and Supplies. Did you know that every year about 2.8 million older adults are treated in emergency departments for injuries sustained from a fall? Most falls can be prevented or reduced by having the proper equipment in place. We have a selection of bath safety items to help keep you safe, such as shower and transfer benches, commodes, safety rails, and much more. Our knowledgeable and caring staff will work with you and help you pick the right equipment for your needs.
Arfstrom Medical Equipment and Supplies is part of Arfstrom Pharmacy, your locally owned Health Mart pharmacy, located at 409 Ashman Street in downtown Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan.
Health Mart, caring for you and about you.
Let's get to the second half of the game here on ESPN 1400, WKNW, Sault Ste. Marie's sports leader. It's the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. Now, here's Scott Nason.
Welcome back to the game on ESPN 1400 and also heard online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason back in the ESPN 1400 studios in beautiful Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan after a very rainy day. We have a nice evening. We're joined once again by broadcast engineer Alyssa Bradley, helping us out with the ones and twos, as Matt Pocket would say. Want to thank our guests so far tonight, Dr. David Paitson, Director of Athletics at Lake Superior State University, and their head hockey coach, Damon Whitten. And we're joined now by our next guest, co-host, and all-around good guy. His name is Butch Davis. He joins us each week to talk about what's going on in the Metro Detroit sports world. You can catch his show, Butch On Sports, on his podcast page. Simply Butch 2, that's TOO.podomatic.com, or you can go to thegamesportshow.com and find all of Butch's shows. He has a brand new one yesterday. Joining us right now, a little under the weather and sniffles, much like many people are here. Butch, are you hanging in there, and how are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm hanging in here the best I can, Scott. I had the mute button on.
I was going to
hear me sneezing.
I'm glad it was on there, and I thought I was doing something wrong again. I was
panicking.
My
nose and all this other stuff. Hi, kids.
Well, Butch, something that'll make us feel better is the Detroit Lions are undefeated on the season as they knock off the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday in a game that thought the Lions might lose by the score of 27-24. Lots to talk about, Butch. Just first of all, your overall thoughts on the game before we dissect it a bit. Easy for me to say.
Well, Scott, first and foremost here, almost we looked at the Lions from last year, looking at the Lions from this year. Again, the defense who played somewhat I would say maybe a little bit lackluster there until the final drive of the particular, which is the Philadelphia Eagles. And they came out again saving the day here like Mighty Mouse did once upon a time. And now they are 2-0-1 as we speak here.
Yeah, and you look at the scoring plays in that one. The Lions get the first kickoff return of the season in the NFL, a 100-yard touchdown by Jamal Agnew to give them the lead. They really capitalized on their opportunities. Kerryon Johnson, he also had a 1-yard touchdown run. Prater had a couple field goals, and then the big play, Matthew Stafford, a 12-yard touchdown pass to Marvin Jones, giving the Lions the 27-17 lead, and then Philly comes back, and it looked like the Lions were going to be the Lions again, getting that field goal blocked, but the defense made plays when they had to. And is this a team, Butch, that's growing in confidence each week? They're starting maybe to win the games that they shouldn't, and that's a sign of a good team, in my opinion.
I don't know about confidence per se there. You know, I would say one thing they picked up from let me see, our coach there, Mr. Patricia, is consistency. If you notice him always at the podium, it's always the same 369 in the box there. And it's always consistent. If they picked up anything to me is that their coach is rubbing off on them is consistency now here. They know that in years past they could not hold a lead and then not give you a chance to win. This year the defense knows that if they're consistent in that final lap against a visiting team, that could stand for a victory there. And look what happened 2 weeks in a row. The defense was very consistent in stopping that final drive. Now, as far as Agnew's concerned, if you can remember, he did some bumbling and fumbling the first week of the season there, and also he was benched for a considerable period of time the last game, okay? And they gave us a new opportunity in the particular game against the Philadelphia Eagles, and he ran with it for 100 yards. That is what the Lions really need. They have not been shy of changing the pieces around. As per this week alone, they have not thrown anybody off the ship as of yet, but I'm expecting them to have some cuts or maybe some waivers or letting some people go and bringing some people from that taxi squad called the practice squad into the fold of the lineup was 53 men.
Lions undefeated for the first time since 2011. They've scored at least 27 points in each of their last 3 road games, and they get a big test coming up on Sunday, Butch. You're going to be there watching the high-octane offense of the Kansas City Chiefs, and so Lions are going to get a big test on Sunday, aren't they?
They're going to get a huge test on Sunday, the defense as well as the offense there. The offense cannot falter and not bring in some good scoring drives if they are able to develop them. And I know on defense for sure, if they're not on their P's and Q's, the Kansas City Chiefs have a lot of weapons, big and small, that can really put the game out of reach, maybe in the first half. Again, the Lions have to be consistent in their scoring there. They wasn't consistent in the running game, although I was glad to see that they gave the ball to Kerryon Johnson at least 20 times, but Kerryon Johnson has to do a lot better job. 30-something yards is not enough with 20-something carries there.
Lions, Kansas City Sunday. We'll have the pregame show on our sister station, Oldies 93, around 11 o'clock, 1 p.m. kickoff for the Lions and Chiefs. Butch, let's move on to college football. And boy, Jim Harbaugh, as a Michigan State fan, I like Jim Harbaugh because in big games, his team does not perform well. That team being the Michigan Wolverines, as they were dominated. Don't let that final score of 35-14 fool you. It was 35-0 before Michigan even knew they were in a game. They lose a big game again. Jim Harbaugh now 1-6 against ranked teams on the road. As Michigan drops their first game, Harbaugh in his press conference today said, hey, it's my fault. My team wasn't prepared. Boy, Butch, that team wasn't prepared. That was not a good performance by Michigan.
Well, I counted 7 games that he's had big games and just failed to do anything.
I like it.
Consistent there. And I can tell that you love Michigan, huh?
I love Jim Harbaugh.
Like a hog loves slop, yes, okay? I can tell you love them. But, Michigan right now is going to have to get together. They haven't looked good all year, okay? They have not looked good on defense especially. They have not looked good on offense. And people are calling the numbers blank here, and they want to see some change, especially in the offense. That offense has not given them what they need. There's some consistency there, especially at quarterback. Paitson has not been very good. People are now calling for McCaffrey to come on in or for Jim Harbaugh to give him an opportunity, and maybe he can do better with the offense there. As far as the defense is concerned, they have failed every round there. Army has showed them that they can't stop anybody. And then when Wisconsin, again, a running team came about, they didn't stop them at all there. Their running game just ran them ragged, okay? 300-some yards running the ball is exceptionally very, very bad.
Michigan will be at home this weekend taking on Rutgers, so they should right the ship at least a little bit. And Michigan State, nice bounce-back win on Saturday. Butch winning at Northwestern, first time the Spartans have beaten the Wildcats in 4 years. Brian Lewerke, he had a solid game, 3 touchdown passes. Michigan State now 3-1. They're going to be at home as well, taking on Indiana, ranked number 25. A really good bounce-back victory for the Spartans, Butch.
Very good bounce-back win for the Spartans, indeed. There, they did some things that they didn't do maybe for at least a couple of games now there. Their offense was very consistent this week. Their defense played outstanding there. And Northwestern has beaten them 3 times in a row. So little bit of payback there on Northwestern from Michigan State there. But I tell you right now here, Michigan State got to stay on the road there if they're going to be anywhere consistent and be into that particular thing called a playoff for the ramification of the Big Ten.
Yeah, and the Spartans after next week, Butch, have to go to Ohio State and then Wisconsin. That is not a good schedule right there for Michigan State.
Yeah, what a shame.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on. Well, speaking of what a shame, Butch, moving on to the Detroit Tigers. We've been saying that a lot this year, but they do avoid a dubious honor, or maybe lack thereof, by beating the Chicago White Sox yesterday by the score of 6-3. The Tigers are assured, they have 3 more home games left against Minnesota this week, that they won't be the first major league team to lose 60. That's right, 60 home games. You play 82 games at home, they're not going to lose 60. So I guess there's maybe the silver lining for what's been a disastrous Tigers season, Butch.
No silver lining at all. The only silver lining is to get a first-round draft, the first pick in the draft. There,
right.
That's the silver lining the Tigers are going to see, unless the league find collusion or something in the picture here, and then we all know about that there. But again, they can tie the St. Louis Browns for the worst home record in history in all Major League Baseball. Hopefully they can win 1 game. That's all we need is 1 game, and they won't have to be on that ledger of tying the St. Louis Browns again. Again, I will say that the Tigers are up in atoms, exception for the Baltimore Orioles there, to do something that they haven't had in a long time, have a first-round draft pick, the very first draft pick there, and get maybe a player that can immediately do dividends for the Tigers in the upcoming future.
Butch Davis joining us on the game. We'll have E.J. Russell join us in our next segment for the roundtable. Butch, let's continue, and you can hear the Tigers starting tomorrow night, I should say, on our sister station, 1230 WSOO, as they will take on the Minnesota Twins around 6:40, with the pregame show around 6:20. Butch, let's move on to the Detroit Red Wings. A nice victory last night at Little Caesars Arena as the Wings won a 3-2 overtime victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins. Preseason a week in. Butch, thoughts on that game and what you've seen from the Wings so far?
Well, that's where I think my co-elevated and Little Caesars Arena, you could tell it was nice and chilly in there. I walked in there in a pair of shorts and a T-shirt and came out worse than what I was here. Yep. However, I did enjoy Madison Bowery, okay, who scored the first Red Wing goal, or so they claim, right, but they automatically gave it to the actual culprit of that, which was let's get his name right here. Man, I forget there. Manson scored one goal, and the other guy scored another goal. They gave it to Bowery first, but they changed it to, come on, help me.
I was watching football there, Butch. I'm going to have to look that up myself.
I was watching the game and catching a cold. But, that tied the game. But Bowery, he scored at 2:59 of the overtime period against the Red Wings. He had 2 assists in that game as well. If Bowery keeps playing the way he do, he is going to end up getting him a spot on the roster there. Very good defense, by the way, there. And he's not scared to forward the puck over the line there in order to be somewhat an offensive defenseman there. That is something we haven't seen in a very long time since Coffee here, okay? So that was good. I saw Giovanni Smith. He played a very good defensive forward game. Not a lot of no fighting concern there, although with some near blows at the very end there. But again, he played pretty doggone good as well. Also, Reed Larkins, okay, and Bertuzzi is the one who got the credit for the goal there. As I'm looking at my notes there, and I finally find it here. But anyway, here the Red Wings played a lot of young kids there, and they look good. They look a defensive team and taking advantage of not being scared to forward the puck up the ice, and also giving some opportunities that they have not taken in the past, such as shooting the puck on line, okay, and we're talking about not the blue line per se, but the red line there, and getting in there and being aggressive.
Butch Davis joining us on the game. The Wings in action right now at the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island against the Islanders scoreless. Butch, a couple more topics here before we go to break and get to our roundtable. You and I love the world of wrestling, as I like to say, and the WWE is moving networks as their Friday night show will now be SmackDown on the Fox network. And they're going to have a couple specials gearing up for the big premiere, I think, in a couple weeks. Butch, WWE moving to Fox, the big-time news. Brock Lesnar is going to be on SmackDown for the first time in 15 years tomorrow night. Lots going on in the world of the WWE.
A lot going on in that particular there. The Fox network is going all out to get people to watch on the network, as a lot of their players and personnel have been on shows on football, Monday Night Baseball, on Fox, anything they can get. I know WJBK Fox 2 here had several wrestlers here in Detroit on television just about last Wednesday was the day there, in a truck that basically gives off smoke and fog, and then they come out the semi-truck there like a stage there, and basically spent almost 2 hours on a news show there. So that's ungratefully called for. But again, Fox is putting in their guts, and they're hoping that this is going to be a great winner for them on Friday night.
Butch, finally here in this segment, high school football, we covered what's going on in this area, and I know a lot of big games in your area last weekend and coming up. So just give us a little snapshot on high school football in the Metro Detroit area.
The biggest game was MLK, or Martin Luther King, against Cass Tech, and that was a very seldom a late afternoon game. Most games in the city of Detroit start always at 4:00 in the afternoon, and we can tell off the air why. But again, right, you can guess it. They just keep off the rumpers off the field and whatnot there. But in this case, this game started at 6:00 in the evening. evening, and they had the lights playing at Martin Luther King Stadium there, right behind the school, and it was a pretty doggone good battle until King just went up there and wet wash Cass Tech, and they did a job and then some on that particular team. Cass Tech is not a bad team at all. If they win outright the rest of their games, they will be in the playoffs, I'm quite sure. But King right now showed that they're the team to be in the Class A division.
Butch, before we go to break, what's ahead for you for your show, Butch on Sports, and what are some of the things you're going to be covering this week?
Well, definitely we're going to cover the high school standings there as they are present. This is going into the fifth week of football in high school sports. Giving a little rundown of maybe some of the teams to watch out for, because we know the playoff system has changed as far as points are concerned there. So, and we know there's a lot of teams are now playing out-of-state teams there just to get the point factor up a little bit higher there. And so, with that said there, we're just going to take an overall look at a lot of the teams in southeastern Michigan and then some around the state that are going to be somewhat competitive in the playoffs, which are upcoming in less than maybe, 4 weeks from today.
Wow, that is true. We're going to be halfway over the season, done with the season, I should say, this weekend. Butch Davis joining us on the game. Again, you can hear his show, Butch on Sports, on his podcast page, Simply Butch2. That's TOO.podomatic.com, or find him right here at thegamesportshow.com. Butch, we're going to go to break. Get in touch with EJ Russell, and when we come back, we're going to have our roundtable. We got a busy one here, so stand by. We'll get back to you here in a couple minutes, sir.
I sure will here. Me and my hanky.
Yes, you and your hanky. I got the same one. Well, not the same one, thankfully, but my own. We're going to take.
We would really be in trouble here.
Yes, we would. We're going to take a break here on the game. When we come back, we are going to talk national sports with EJ Russell, Butch Davis, and myself for our roundtable. You are listening to The Game on ESPN 1400.
Overacting?
Once more into the breach, dear friends, once more. Or close the wall up with our English dead. In peace, there's nothing.
Underacting.
Once more into the breach, dear friends, once more, or close the wall up with our English dead. It doesn't take a theater director to tell the difference between overacting and underacting, but it's not as easy knowing whether you're overinsured or underinsured. A low rate isn't a good thing if everything you hold dear, your family, your home, your future, isn't protected properly. That's why you have Farm Bureau of Michigan agent Dean Garlinghouse to take the drama out of making sure you have the coverage you need. Insurance is Dean's life. Trust your future to Dean Garlinghouse to avoid poor coverage.
Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him, Horatio. A fellow of infinite jest, a most excellent fancy.
Oy. So you can get on with your life. Call Dean Garlinghouse at Farm Bureau Insurance today.
O'Connor's Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram.
Big fall doings in September at O'Connor's of Pickford, where Ram Power Days are on. Want to lease a new 2019 Ram Bighorn Quad Cab 4x4? O'Connor's delivers with a low mileage lease for just $319 a month plus tax with approved credit. You pay just $9.99 at signing. Ram Power Days all month long. Get the deal you want on the Ram you dream about at O'Connor's of Pickford.
O'Connor's Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram.
Jeep Adventure Days are on all month at O'Connor's of Pickford. Get a new Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk with up to $6,750 in rebates and incentives. Or enjoy an ultra-low mileage lease on a new 2019 Jeep Compass. It's just $275 a month plus tax with good credit, and you pay just $550 at signing. Jeep Adventure Days all month long. Get the deal you want on the Jeep you dream about at O'Connor's of Pickford.
O'Connor's Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram.
Well, it's nearing the end of our beautiful summer, and if you'd like to kill two birds with one stone... Wait, that was just an expression. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, you can make some extra money by cleaning up around your home, garage, and yard. Gather your scrap metal and bring it to Reed Metals. Reed Metals pays $50 for a full, large General Motors catalytic converter and $6 per average car battery and $12 per semi-battery. Bring in scrap vehicles or any other recyclable metals, and they'll print you a check. Reed Metals, the honest, one-stop metal recycling business. Visit reedmetals.com. EUP or call 906-632-0018. Reed Metals, 13 miles south of the Soo on Mackinac Trail. Reed Metals is only minutes away from helping you make money before the summer ends. No birds were harmed during this production, nor were any actual stones thrown.
Paul Thompson here with Gaylor Thompson Sales and Service, just off I-75 in Rudyard, inviting you to stop in and see the largest selection of equipment in the Eastern Upper Peninsula. To complement our full line of Mahindra tractors, we have trailers including goosenecks, dumps, cargoes, car haulers, and utility trailers. We also have a full line of lawn and garden equipment with Cub Cadet and X-Mark. Over 50 mowers to choose from, a full line of parts, and we service what we sell. Looking for an outdoor wood or pellet furnace or parts? We stock water pumps, exchangers, PEX supplies, and more. Also, check out our full line of Boss and Fisher snow and ice equipment. Here at Gaylor Thompson and Rudyard, we are open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturdays, 9 to noon for your convenience. Just off I-75 in Rudyard, 30 minutes from the bridge. If you need it, we have it. Give us a call at 906-478-3026. Hope to see you here.
Ooh, yeah! Wake up, Michigan, with a small coffee from McDonald's for just $1. Freshly brewed from Arabica beans, this cup of Joe packs Flavor. And the fact that you can bundle any size coffee or any size soft drink with a delicious sausage McMuffin for just $2 might be enough to make you into a morning person like moi. Michigan mornings start at McDonald's. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other.
The local housing market is competitive, and unless you have the right team in your corner, you might miss out on your dream home. That's why happy customers choose Old Mission Bank for their home mortgage needs. We provide quality service from the time you submit your application to closing and then through the entire life of your loan. Let our friendly, knowledgeable staff be your financial partner. Call or stop by to check out our competitive rates and all the other fast, simple solutions we offer at Old Mission Bank. We're located in Pickford and Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. FDIC insured, equal housing lender.
Life is busy. Get out and enjoy the fun. Whether that means a block party with the neighborhood or tailgating with the gang, the Honda EU 2200i has you covered. Besides being lightweight and durable, Honda portable generators are extremely quiet and can run for hours and hours. The Honda EU 2200i now has 200 watts more power with models up to 4,400 watts. You'll love the fuel efficiency and reliability of your new Honda generator. Go to Honda.com or, better yet, visit Leak Sports Center on the I-75 Business Spur and learn firsthand all the ways you can put a Honda generator to work for you. Honda, it's power you can trust.
Mo at M&C Water Systems has a solution for all your water needs. Want clean, fresh drinking water? M&C Water Systems proudly distributes natural, artesian water for all your bottled water needs. Cooler rental and bottled water delivery for your home and office are available. M&C Water Systems delivers to all the local islands, too. Need a water filter? M&C has them. Need a softener? Drinking water system? Want to find out about reverse osmosis? Call Mo at M&C Water Systems today at 906-647-7307, serving the Eastern Upper Peninsula for over 25 years.
You can catch podcasts of the game at thegamesportshow.com. Now let's get back to it with Scott Nason here on ESPN 1400.
Welcome back to the game on ESPN 1400, also heard online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason broadcasting from the studios here on 3 Mile Road in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. We are hoping to be joined by EJ Russell for our round table, but a little technical snafu tonight. So we're going to do this. We're going to split the round table into a square table. We'll be talking to Butch Davis here for the next about 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll get EJ Russell on at the end. So Butch, we're going to do a mini round table with you and I. And so I'm going to give you first honors, I should say, to talk about the world of sports. We each have a topic in this segment. So Butch Davis, you and I, my friend, what's on your mind in the world of sports?
Put my volume back on here. Good topic to talk about. What about Jim Harbaugh here? You know, that's your favorite friend and whatnot here. Do you think that University of Michigan will get better in order to at least maybe go to the spam bowl or something of that nature here?
Well, Butch, you definitely teed that one up high for me right now, talking about the Michigan Wolverines, and I make no bones about it. I do revel in Michigan's misfortune. And one of the reasons I do is because every year, especially under Jim Harbaugh, we seem to get all the preseason polls and all the hype. And we have Michigan and Michigan State fans here. Many of my friends are Michigan fans. I don't hold that against them, at least not too much. But we always hear about how great this team is and how great of a coach Jim Harbaugh is. Well, I don't think we're hearing that much over the last season with the way Michigan ended, getting destroyed by Ohio State again, losing the bowl game. And then, coming into this season, lots of expectations. Many people thought they'd win their first Big Ten championship in about 15 years. And then the Army game happened, and Michigan was a little bit exposed as far as this supposed high-octane offense that just has not gotten off the ground. And I think maybe the most shocking thing to me, Butch, from the Saturday's game was how Michigan was just unprepared. I mean, as a coach, and Jim Harbaugh, to his credit, did take responsibility. I don't know how he couldn't, how any coaching staff couldn't at this point, but to be on national TV, a road game against a ranked opponent. You said they're 1-7 in those type of games under Jim Harbaugh. Now in his fourth season, a guy that the University of Michigan has invested a lot of money in, a guy that has a lot of confidence. Just ask him, he'll tell you. But his confidence and that whole team's confidence had to be lacking right now. There's no way it couldn't. A team that just, again, unprepared. And as a head coach, the buck stops with you. I mean, you can blame a lot of things. You can blame a new offense. You can blame playing a good team, which Wisconsin is. But boy, 35-0, and literally they were dancing all over the Michigan Wolverines. If you watch that game at the end of the third quarter, they were trying to shake the rafters at Camp Randall. The players were dancing. They were having a good old time. And Michigan, once again, is left wondering what the identity is of their team and their college program right now, one that in the history has been one of the greatest. But under Jim Harbaugh in his fourth season, Butch, they got a lot of explaining to do, as you like to say.
Yeah, they got a lot of explaining, 359 yards on the ground. And that's not pushing it. That's how much Wisconsin got over there. I mean, you know what? When they played Army, I think they gave away a whole heck of a lot of their defense. And many know now that if you want to beat the University of Michigan, all you have to do is really run the ball. They're not going to stop it. And then when you run the ball and grind the line down to a no-not-one, then you can pass the ball, and you'll have somebody catch it and do the same thing that other teams are doing at the University of Michigan. They seem to have their number on that there. Jim Harbaugh acts like, I want you to fire me. Yeah. Maybe he is quietly saying this is my last year at Michigan, and he wants to go to family life, or maybe get a career on television or something, or maybe go to another National Football League that has wiggled his ears into some mystique that he can go to the National Football League again. We don't know. I know for the last 2 years per se, he's taken his team overseas, extravagant vacations. Some of these vacations, people can't even afford to take out the trash here without paying for the sewage. And University of Michigan, whole team, we're talking about 70 or 80 kids there, on Michigan's dime. People think about that, and right now it doesn't look good for Harbaugh. He's going to have to really get his team to start rallying there, and that starts off with him, his coaching staff. They have done a very poor job of convincing anyone that Michigan's in contention for anything.
And as a Michigan State fan, Butch, Jim Harbaugh is my favorite coach all time for the University of Michigan, at least at this point, because it's not been good, and, well, I'm giddy about it. I'm not going to lie. Butch, one more topic here before we let you go, get to your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week. I wanted to talk NFL football week 3. And there are lots of things going on in the world of football. We talked a lot about the Lions, obviously, during our segment, but you had some teams go to 3-0, other teams go to 0-3. We saw once again injuries be a part of week 3. Some quarterbacks that filled in for those injured did well. Teddy Bridgewater winning a game along with Carolina's quarterback filling in for Cam Newton. We saw injuries. Saquon Barkley, he's out a few weeks due to an injury. So, Butch, I just wanted your overall thoughts on week 3 in the NFL, some of the things that you saw, and some of your opinions.
Not too much. I watched the Kansas City game in its entirety there. I love that game between Baltimore and Kansas City. I mean, that was a romping-stomping game. Baltimore was trailing some good amount of points there, and they rallied back and almost caught up to Kansas City. Only to lose by 6 points, but again, a loss is a loss. But, give Jackson the credit that he deserved. He kept that team on the offense in the game there and did some extraordinary things with his legs, with his arm. That young man has a doggone good arm here. And that game itself very much so intrigued me. As far as the other team, I would say the Chargers right now they're surprising, and they're not doing very well at all. I expect them to do a heck of a lot better. But you look at the Rams, they're doing good. You look at San Francisco, they're not looking bad at all there. So it was a whole lot of things that intrigued me, but the game that really intrigued me was the Kansas City and Baltimore game.
Yeah, Butch, one of the things that I'm intrigued with is the NFC North right now being the best conference in football. We'll see the Bears tonight take on the Washington Redskins at 1-1, and they got to win to stay out of last place because Minnesota, they pounded Oakland at home. Green Bay, that defense looking a lot better for the Packers. They're 3-0. We already talked about the Lions, and I'm going to talk more about this one with EJ. The Browns and Baker Mayfield, this offense, play calling, some questions there. Granted, playing a very good Rams team, but boy, Baker Mayfield is having some struggles with the whole offense is. The 3-0 Buffalo Bills, how about the Bills at 3-0? They eked one out against Cincinnati, and you mentioned that Chiefs game, and I agree with Lamar Jackson. What an exciting player he is to watch. He's slung a couple of those ones there, look like backyard football at a time, and Ingram had 3 touchdowns. Good for the older running backs. Frank Gore had a touchdown for Buffalo, and we're seeing some trends, but we do know that New England is good. We do know that. How about Jones for the quarterback for the New York Giants? Many people laughed when he was picked number 6 by the Giants, and well, he had a good start. Granted, playing a Tampa Bay team that maybe isn't the best, but a really good one there. And San Francisco, as you mentioned, Butch, 3-0. The Steelers 0-3. How about this Monday night matchup next week, Butch? 0-3 Cincinnati at 0-3 Pittsburgh. That's going to be a barn burner.
Yeah, this is the networks right now want their money back here. On that one particular one. Who would have thought here? But that's going to be a game that certainly will. And you know what? Yeah, that Browns game. You kind of wonder with the talent they have around them there, is Baker Mayfield getting overconfident there, or just not sticking to details? Because I expected the Browns to do a whole heck of a lot better, and I'm quite sure EJ will have his 2 cents thrown on in there if this was brought up with him there.
Butch, before we let you go and get to EJ Russell, I want to hear your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week, sir.
Thumbs up. Not doing thumbs up. Like I said, I watched the Red Wing game in person there, and I like the young kids that they're putting on the ice right now. So let's give the Steve Eisenman and let the team know that every position is in dire strait right now there, because the Red Wings are playing like it is there, and they're putting a lot more effort in it. Yes, it's preseason per se there, but I see some young kids getting some great efforts out there. Like I said, I'm going to watch maybe the whole rest of the preseason for the Red Wings just to see how they stack up that lineup. Thumbs down. We could talk about the Tigers like a dog here, but I won't here. I'll just go blank on the thumbs down there because it's not worth it here.
We're keeping it positive tonight. That's Butch Davis joining us on the game. Again, you can catch his show, Butch On Sports, on our podcast page or go to his. Simply Butch2, that's TOO.podomatic.com. We get him on the show, one, because he adds so much. Everywhere I go, Butch, I hear people say, yeah, I love that, Butch. I love his segment. You're building a big fan base here in the Eastern Upper Peninsula and Central Algoma region. We love having you on, and we'll talk to you once again next week as you got a lot to cover, and we look forward to talking to you.
I thank you all up there for your support, and hopefully you get up there pretty doggone soon, nifty, sooner than later. And we'll be looking forward to giving you some good stuff for next week's show there.
We'll definitely get you up here, Butch. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week, sir.
All righty.
All right, that's going to do it for this segment. We have one more segment, one more. Co-host EJ Russell will be joining us next here on The Game. You're listening to The Game online at thegamesportshow.com and on ESPN 1400.
You want more from a compact or utility tractor, and at Skinner's of Pickford, you'll find more. More of the newest Massey Ferguson tractors, offering more versatility, more durability, and more performance. Stop by today and find out how Massey Ferguson is expanding the possibilities of what a great tractor can be, and why a Massey Ferguson will be the last tractor you'll ever need. Come see the Massey Ferguson compact and utility tractors at Skinner's of Pickford, your tractor source in the north. You wanted a small tractor with a mid-PTO for more versatility. Massey Ferguson responded by bringing back a versatile workhorse, the Massey Ferguson 1526 Compact Tractor, now available at Skinner's of Pickford. A tractor that can do more because it's made to handle more. As hardworking and no-nonsense as you are. See it today at Skinner's of Pickford, your tractor source in the north. Let's get back to the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. Let's get back to the game on ESPN 1400.
Welcome back to The Game on ESPN 1400 and online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason back in the ESPN 1400 studio. Want to thank our broadcast engineer, Alyssa Bradley, walking me through the whole aspect of board operation. I'll tell you what, it's stressful. I thought a radio show was stressful. Trying to put it on the air is even more stressful, but she's doing a great job. We appreciate all her help. And again, want to thank Butch Davis from Butch On Sports for joining us. We wanted to have the round table. We're going to have a square table, but this gentleman is anything but square. Wow. Nice transition. His name is EJ Russell. He's co-host here on The Game, who joins us each and every week from Escanaba, Michigan, the banana belt, as Dave Watson would say, talking about the world of sports. EJ, got you on a little bit later. We appreciate you being here. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Happy to be here on what appears to be a shortened segment this week. But, of course, Scotty, you know me. I'm going to be here. I'm happy to talk sports. Happy to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. So let's get right into it.
Butch, EJ, I'm going to throw out the first topic because I know it's something that you more than likely want to talk about. And I referenced it with Butch in the last segment, talking about the Cleveland Browns, play calling, this offense, a lot of hype, Baker Mayfield, offensive coordinator. What are your thoughts on your Browns right now? You obviously play a good team in the Rams, but there's some question marks right now as far as this offense. Baker Mayfield maybe having a sophomore slump. Is this a work in progress? Are you panicked yet? What are your thoughts on your Browns?
Well, of course, and thank you for asking about a topic that I genuinely can speak about with wholehearted emotion here, because I think that emotion is an important part of sports. I'm not in panic mode in Cleveland yet. I think the Cleveland Browns are doing a lot of good things. Let's look at their three games that they played. They got blown out by the Tennessee Titans 43-13 in what was an abysmal game with 18 total penalties, costing 186 total yards in that game. Then you look at the Browns-Jets game, playing a depleted Jets team, best player on that team, and probably, in my opinion, the only player worth mentioning in Le'Veon Bell. We were able to get that victory in a 23-3 win. And then you look against what was the toughest competition of the year thus far, which has been the LA Rams. This is the defending NFC champions. And we had an opportunity with 40-something seconds on the clock to punch the ball in from roughly 10 yards out to tie the game or potentially win it. They could have gone for two to win the game, which I would have actually liked to see them do last night, because the LA Rams are a very, very capable team. I'm not in panic mode yet, and here's why I say that. The one piece that I don't think the Browns have gotten right thus far is that I think they need to use Nick Chubb a little bit more. Last night was the first game where you saw them significantly lean on him to gain yardage in those tough situations. You know, you had 2nd and 13s, Nick Chubb gained 7 yards. Okay, now you got 3rd and manageable. I think they need to continue to rely on Nick Chubb to open up the passing game, use more play action after establishing the run. But a lot of people have asked me, specifically today, what my thoughts are on Baker Mayfield. And here's what I'd like to say. Yes, last year he set the rookie touchdown record with 27 total touchdowns. And people are looking at him this year and going, well, he's missing significantly more throws. Well, why is that? Well, that's because of growing pains. Okay, he's got His number one from last year is now his number two, and his number one's arguably one of the best or most talented players to ever play the position. And he's got two guys that know how to cooperate with each other. The one thing, people address the incompletions with Baker Mayfield and the interceptions. As far as the incompletions go, look at where he's putting that football. He's missing those passes by putting in places that only his players can catch, okay? The interceptions that he's thrown, he threw 3 in week 1 and a few others. But in week 1, we were trying, and when I say we as a Cleveland Browns fan, Cleveland Browns were trying to come back in that game. And one of those picks was a legitimate interception. The other two, he was trying to force the ball to make plays happen. When you get down by a significant amount, you tend to see turnovers and interceptions go up. Week 2, you didn't see a whole lot of interceptions because the Browns were dominating that football game. And then again, at the end of the Rams game, you saw some interceptions, specifically the one in the end zone to seal the deal for the Los Angeles Rams. Cleveland Browns were right there, though. They're going against one of the best offenses in the NFL and contended and played exceptional defense with a secondary. Many of our players were missing in that game, okay? As well as the fact that even as much as Baker Mayfield was pressured, Aaron Donald, the best defensive player in this game right now, only recorded 1 total sack on that game. Yes, he was in the backfield all night messing up plays. Yes, he's probably the best pure pass rusher I've seen since Michael Strahan. The Browns competed last night, and that was a big step forward. Yes, I as much as I'd like to win that game, I can actually accept this loss. We're going into Baltimore next week, a team that we have to be on our A game. Well, I think within 3 weeks, we've learned a lot about ourselves. We can compete against the best team in the league. We can beat the teams we're supposed to beat. But in order to win games that we're supposed to win, we need to minimize the penalties. So as a Cleveland Browns fan and as the sportscaster, I think if they eliminate the penalties, continue to establish the run through Nick Chubb, and work the passes through the right players, I don't see why we can't have success against the Baltimore Ravens. This is a team that we split with last year. And what was a very good series. I think Cleveland's really close to turning that corner, but this is a team that's learning how to win together. This is a team that's learning how to play together. Still going through a few growing pains, but at the end of the day, I think the Cleveland Browns will do just fine. I see them being a 9-7 team this year.
EJ Russell joining us on the game. EJ, I'm going to throw out another topic to you before we get to yours. One we covered a bit with Butch, talking about NFL Week 3. One of the things I mentioned was the NFC North, looking like the strongest division at this point, with the worst team, Chicago, at this point 1-1. All the teams are above 500. We talked a bit about some of the 3-0 teams. Buffalo's 3-0. Again, opponents maybe not the best. We talked about that entertaining Kansas City-Baltimore game yesterday. Mahomes, my goodness, he is just slinging it, as is Lamar Jackson, and running it. Your overall thoughts on some of those topics and more in Week 3 of the NFL, EJ, before we get to your topic?
Well, I think that a fact that needs to be addressed this evening, and I heard this on another ESPN show today, which is in the past, African-American quarterbacks have not always been the most successful. But we're at a point right now where 3 out of the top 5 quarterbacks in this league could be black quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes is wheeling and dealing, 3-0. Probably the best player in football right now. Number 2, Lamar Jackson. This is a guy that's revolutionizing the game with his ability to use his legs and being able to pass this year. This is something we haven't seen out of him in his rookie season. This is something he could do successfully at Louisville. This is a Heisman Trophy winner. So this is a guy that knows how to get it done. And then Dak Prescott, a guy that just knows how to win football games, which at this point in time might be the number 2 candidate for the MVP in our league. And then you add on top of that Russell Wilson. You add on top of that Kyler Murray, a guy that, even though has not been winning a lot of games, has had some success in that Arizona system under the new head coach. I think that we're getting to a point in the NFL where it's not about who the quarterback is or what color their skin is. I think right now this is a great time in the game where we're getting to a point where it's who's the best player. Put them in. Let them do what they can do, and let's see what happens. I think that the most exciting team to watch right now is probably the Baltimore Ravens, just because they have an uncanny ability to move the football around in ways that teams haven't seen before. The most interesting matchup of the next week coming up for me has got to be Buffalo, New England. And people go, well, Buffalo hasn't played much talent. Well, New England hasn't played much talent either.
Right.
I don't think they've played. I don't think a team that New England's played this year has even won a game. I believe that their combined record is 0-9. I think Buffalo's is 1-8. I mean, who knows what's going to happen there? You want to pick the Patriots, but this is a team that's moving in the right direction. It's playing in the Buffalo Bills. It's playing great defensive football, and behind a rookie quarterback a sophomore quarterback that's incredibly arm talented. Keep your eye on that game. I encourage anybody that is watching an out-of-area game, watch Buffalo, New England. You're going to learn a lot about Buffalo in that game. You probably won't learn a lot about New England because they will always be who we think they are. In order to quote Dennis Green, they are who we thought they were. I mean, that's what New England always has been under Bill Belichick in the Tom Brady era. That's an exceptionally talented team. But I think that a team that people need to consider that's better than what they look like on paper right now has to be the Denver Broncos. Phillip Lindsay is an incredible talent. They have a Super Bowl winning quarterback and a defense that's pretty solid there. I don't see them finishing at the bottom of the division as they're sitting at 0-3 right now. I think that, as you said, Scott, the NFC North is the most talented looking division at this point. You have 4 teams, okay, that at the end of tonight should have winning records.
Yeah.
You should have the Bears at 2-1, who have probably, in my opinion, the best defense in the league. The Minnesota Vikings, who are playing above the rim. The Detroit Lions, just let it ride. I really don't have a comment here. They've beaten 2 teams that are good football teams. Beating the LA Chargers is not something to blink at. And going out and beating the Philadelphia Eagles, although depleted, they still have a great defense there. A team led by Fletcher Cox. Malcolm Jenkins is still a elite defender, elite safety in this league. And they went out and beat those Eagles. The Eagles didn't lose that game. The Lions won it.
Yeah.
Let's be really clear on that. The Eagles did not lose that game. The Lions won it. And if they can continue to build on the great defensive play that they've gotten under Matt Patricia lately and allow themselves to develop with the amount of talent that they have on that team, the Detroit Lions, honestly, as much as I gave them some flack last week and saying let's not even discuss them being an undefeated team, I don't think they're going to be undefeated at the end of the year, but they could be a wild card contender with the way that they're playing football right now. NFC North, hands down, is the best division in football right now. Worst division in football, it has got to be the AFC West, and this is a team that the Kansas City Chiefs are dominating right now. But Oakland, LA, and Denver, all very much underperforming. So we'll see how things continue to develop. But again, I think that the number one thing to highlight right now is that we've got a lot of great quarterbacks out there, specifically African-American quarterbacks that are not being recognized as much as I feel that they should. Guys like Deshaun Watson, guys like Patrick Mahomes, who, of course, is getting the recognition, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Jacoby Brissett. Well, let's pay attention to these black quarterbacks that are playing right now, because in the past it's been, what about me? And now it's about, what about them? They're playing great.
EJ Russell joining us on the game. EJ, we got time for one more topic before we recap, or I should say look ahead to our broadcast schedule here for the week on our family of stations, and thumbs up and thumbs down. So I will turn the mic over to you momentarily to hear your topic. What do you want to talk about here in the world of sports?
Well, let's talk about something that is near and dear to fans that listen to this show. And I want to talk college football. And Scott, I'm going to ask you 2 questions tonight.
Okay.
Number one, my first question is, who are your top 6 teams right now in college football? And I also want to ask you, at what point does Michigan need to look on from Jim Harbaugh? Because as a team that was ranked in the top 10 going into last week's game, depending on which poll you looked at, absolutely embarrassed by Wisconsin over the weekend. So at what point, if they continue to play the way that they're playing, do you cut Jim Harbaugh? Is that something you're looking at right now? So top 5, and let's talk a little Michigan. Top 6.
Yeah, I'll start with your second question first here, EJ. I think Michigan's stuck with him, and Jim Harbaugh right now. I think that, with that contract and the amount of money that they've put, they're stuck. However, if they get more performances like they saw yesterday, or Saturday, I should say, then they're going to have a lot of thinking to do over this offseason. I mean, if we see this team lose to Ohio State and lose in a big way and maybe throw a couple other games, if they lose to Michigan State, which is very possible this year, even though it's at Michigan. I mean, they almost lost to Army. It's not good in Big Blue land, in Michigan land, but it's good for Scotland. That's being this guy, because I absolutely fully endorse Jim Harbaugh, not just this season, for the future of Michigan football, because he is absolutely fantastic. Just ask him, he'll tell you. Looking at the top 6 teams that I have right now, EG, I really don't have a whole lot of surprises here. Clemson, they're the champs. You got to beat the champs, and I just don't see them dropping any games until potentially the playoff with the ACC schedule. I just don't think they have a game on their schedule that's going to knock them off. Alabama, obviously, is another team that I root for. You got to put them in your top 6. You got to put Georgia in your top 6, although they didn't have an easy time against Notre Dame. They did beat them. I got LSU in there. I mean, they're undefeated. I got Ohio State. I mean, I think at one point it was 8-5 against Miami. They ended up winning, 76-5. Then that 6th team, boy, that's a tough one, because I think there's 3 teams that make good arguments right now, and they're the top 6, 7, 8th ranked teams: Oklahoma, Auburn, and Wisconsin. Auburn gets that win at Texas A&M. I got to put a Oklahoma in there. So I'm going with top 6 right now. Who I think is the best team right now, I still think it's Clemson until they get beat. I'm going to keep thinking that. EJ, we got about 3 minutes left for a response for you, so your turn, sir.
I don't know that I trust their running game that much this year, so look for them to lean on Jake Fromm, but I'll put Ohio State above Georgia. I think Ohio State and Georgia right now are the first 2 teams out. I think your top 4 are Clemson, LSU, Alabama, and Oklahoma.
EJ, we got about 2 minutes left. I want to recap real quick our broadcast schedule here on ESPN 1400. Tomorrow night, the Hockey North show with Randy Russin will be on from 5 to 6. And then Wednesday night, we'll have Soo Eagles hockey, myself and Larry Pozobon, as the Eagles will take on Rayside Balfour. We'll have the EUP game of the week on Friday on Oldies 93 with Matt Pocket, as Cedarville will take on Brimley. We also have Sioux Greyhounds hockey on Rock 101 Friday and Saturday night, as the Hounds will play Kitchener and Saginaw. And we have Coach's Corner on Saturday morning, 11:05 on 1230 WSOO. And then Sioux Blue Devil football against Algoma Heights on WSOO Saturday at 3:15. Real quick, thumbs up and thumbs down. My thumbs up, Jim Harbaugh. I love that guy. Thumbs down, OJ Simpson's fantasy team. Worse than mine. EJ, we got about a minute. Your thumbs up and thumbs down quickly.
Thumbs up for the week. I got to give the Buffalo Bills finding a way to win another game. Very surprising 3-0 team. I know that sounds like an odd thumbs up, but when was the last time you saw Buffalo and New England playing a game between 2 undefeated teams? So thumbs up to the Buffalo Bills. Go on and win that game. Get it, and try to give New England a run for their money. Thumbs down for the week is going to be kind of odd. So this week was homecoming game for Escanaba football versus Marquette, and the lights would not come on. I went to the first half of that game. The one thing that I will say, and I'll give a second thumbs up to, was all the fans in the stadium pulled their cell phones out and tried to shine their flashlights. Escanaba Public Safety showed up and was spotlighting the homecoming court with their vehicles. I think everyone did an exceptional job to try to make that game work. But there's been some bad thunderstorms coming in. Come on, test the lights before the game. I get that it's high school, but it's a big game. It's homecoming week. Biggest crowd of the year. You can't mess that up. So thumbs down to the lighting situation with Escanaba. Thumbs up to the fans. And thumbs up to the Buffalo Bills.
That's going to do it for the game. We got to go. We'll talk to you next Monday night here on ESPN 1400.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the game here on ESPN 1400 WKNW, Sault Ste. Marie's sports leader. Check us out next Monday at 6 for the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. You can hear the podcast of the show and other broadcasts at thegamesportshow.com.